I'm Chris Lawrence, and if you're like me, it's getting hard to remember what life was like before the pandemic. It's changed how we live and work, how our kids go to school. But about a year ago, North Texans were facing a very different test to our resolve, one that a lot of people are still recovering from today. An outbreak of tornadoes that did more than $1 billion in damage. And we've got a lot to share with you about what's happened in the year since that tornado. But first, we need to start with a look back.
Walnut Hill area, Preston Hollow, this area has to seek shelter immediately. Please, please do so. There's the center of rotation. That's where we have confirmed debris. That's where we have a confirmed tornado that is moving off to the east.
This is the intersection of Walnut Hill and Linnell. We've got plenty of fire and police activity blocking the road because of the number of trees that are down, and more firefighters are on the way.
You can see emergency responders continue to come through. There are several, but once this fire truck passes, we'll show you a wall that has a roof that's collapsed here, and debris has scattered across the roadway.
At the base of the tornado, you kind of see that little cloud of dust going up. That's debris being picked up by the tornado. So that is a tornado doing damage. That's not just a funnel cloud. That's absolutely a tornado, Marie.
It came so fast, you can't believe it.
The house started moving a little bit, just the wind was stronger than what I might have otherwise thought, and so we came down. And
where were you guys in the house?
Right in basically up in that peak right there. Up in there, behind it, there's a little media room, basically.
We hunkered down, and it came through, and it blew the doors off the back of our house. We have all kinds of broken windows. I have tons of debris inside the house. All the trees, all these big trees are down.
The roof is gone, so that's water coming off the top of that school. In the intersection here are trees, which have closed it all down. There's a search and rescue operation that we just walked past. They have a grid basically of all the houses in the neighborhood that they're going through to make sure that everybody is out of them.
Next door neighbor's entire house looks like it's been completely decimated.
The wind got so bad it was just shaking my truck. I was trying to get over here a little bit so I could get out of the way a little bit, try to get close to these buildings, and they just literally picked me up and just flipped me 2 times. If it wasn't for the trees would stop me. Man, I'm just grateful that I didn't get hurt any more than I did, man. I got a couple of scratches and stuff, but other than that, man, I'm just fine.
Wow.
It's crazy.
They are staging, going through multiple neighborhoods, trying to find out where the most help is needed. And there will be a great deal of help needed as the day goes on and as we get our first look at daylight.
No reports, according to the city of Dallas, as of right now, of any fatalities or serious injuries.
The damage is extensive. There are homes gone, businesses and schools closed all over Dallas County today. I want you to check out this new video showing the extent of the damage that we are talking about.
Consider ourselves very fortunate that we did not lose any lives, no fatalities, and no serious injuries in last night's storm. And our city staff and our first responders are doing an amazing job of making sure that people are safe, which is our top priority.
Oh, it's a little shocking. You just gotta get up and go. This too shall pass.
You lost your home, but you got your life, Randy.
Yeah, this isn't the worst day I've ever had, so I've almost lost that before, so this can be replaced.
And with everything that we've been through this year, what he just said, I think we've all learned to take that to heart. Even the photos and mementos that mean so much to us pale in comparison to someone's life.
No, it's not just a building. This is this house has been here for a long time, and it's been passed. First it was my great-great-grandpa, then my grandpa, then my grandma and grandpa, then us.
I remember that night extremely well. We were on Facebook Live covering severe thunderstorms just to the west of Dallas, and then one in particular started to take on a shape that was very concerning. It started to indicate that there was some rotation. Not long after that, the National Weather Service confirmed that we had damage north of Love Field, and it was likely because of a tornado. Tornado warning was issued. We got on the air immediately, and I just remember thinking, this is not a good situation. This tornado looks to be strong based on radar scans, and it's moving through a very populated area of Dallas. And that's what ended up happening. We've seen damage reports as we were on the air. I was seeing debris signatures on radar that indicated there were things in the air that weren't raindrops, weren't hailstones, but roof shingles, siding, tree limbs. So I started to get nervous because I realized this is not just a little spin-up tornado or a little EF0. This is likely a strong tornado moving through a very populated area, and there's a lot of people home. It's a Sunday night in Dallas. People are watching the Cowboys, so I knew that we had to get the message out and be extremely stern with our wording, saying get in your safe place, make sure that you take every precaution you can to get away from this. And I know we saved lives that night. Our entire team did an amazing job because we have heard from the community that our coverage was the one that got them into the safe place. And the fact that still today, I can't believe this, that there were 0 major injuries or deaths, just blows my mind.
It's the 1-year anniversary of the Dallas tornado, the costliest tornado in Dallas history. It was an EF3 with winds of 140 miles an hour. I'm at the intersection right now at Preston and Royal Lane, and this was one of the hardest hit areas with that tornado. Now remember this, the first tornado warning went out at 8:58, and that's 5 miles from my current location. It's just off to the west. I want to look at the path of the storm, the speed of the winds, and the destruction that occurred. The storm first touched down just north of the north side of Love Field. It was very near Northwest Highway and 35E. It raced off to the northeast. It crossed the Dallas North Tollway at 9:03 as an EF3 tornado with winds of 140 miles per hour. Minutes later, it crossed Central Expressway. At that point, it was an EF2 with winds of 111 miles per hour. The storm ended 32 minutes after it began, and it ended near Saxe. It was on the ground continuously for almost 16 miles, and the maximum width of the path, 1,300 yards. That's 13 football fields wide.
It is easy to dismiss a house by how it looks, but Martha Vega sees something different. It's why she comes back.
Almost every day.
The family home that hasn't been lived in a year.
This was my grandparents' home, yes.
And that legacy, down to the rusted Lady Guadalupe, planted many years ago, isn't even lost on their 9-year-old named Jonathan.
No, it's not just a building. This is like, this house has been here for a long time, and it's been passed. First it was my great-great-grandpa, then my grandpa, then like my grandma and grandpa, then us.
1 year later, and it still shows the scars of a tornado that tore through Dallas in October of 2019. Its path, well known, because the scars are here too.
The tornado. The tornado did this.
Like that, and it was like the whole house was just moving.
Right here.
We met Martha back then, back when she had hope to be in her home by last Christmas. But she says the adjuster severely undervalued the damage, and insurance would only cover $17,000. She says damage was estimated at $60,000.
We couldn't find a contractor that would take that, and fix the whole house with that. So of course we were like, no way.
The family that had survived the tornado by 5 people cramming into the bathroom was now out of the home, out of options, and at the end of their rope.
Familia primero.
The adage they live by.
Family comes first.
They took out an SBA loan, and this week, a year later, cleanup has started. Progress they can see and hear.
Music in our ears. Like one step closer, we're on our way.
It is again October, and again the same wish.
I'm hoping by Christmas, like I said last year.
Look at this family home, and what we see and what Martha sees are different.
Well, now I see hope.
In Dallas, I'm Jobin Paniker.
I did not want to finish my last year in high school like this. I don't think any of us did. I guess you just want to hold on to the memories,
tornado severely damaged 3 schools in Dallas, and Thomas Jefferson High School is still in a state of disrepair. There's no way to sugarcoat it. Students here have been dealt a tough hand. Here's Matt Howerton.
I was actually here freshman and sophomore year.
Healing is a greater challenge
I guess you just want to hold on to the memories, you know?
when wounds are still visible.
I was once here and I was once making memories here.
That's the case for Marisol Ortega and anyone else who has walked the halls at Thomas Jefferson High School. The building is still battered and fenced off.
You see this area of pink right here? This is what we call a tornado debris signature.
A victim of an EF3 tornado that dangerously danced across Dallas 1 year ago.
I did not want to finish my last year in high school like this.
Ortega was a senior then. Within a week, she, teachers, and the entire student body made the transition to Thomas Edison Middle School, 15 miles away. A new home that staff prepared almost overnight.
It was a huge change for many of us.
All the seniors felt crushed.
Jennifer Rodriguez was also a senior.
That was where we all met each other.
And from that point on, she and Ortega watched classmates struggle. The commute wasn't easy, and many had lost their homes. Both saw friends begin to juggle jobs in school to make ends meet.
There was no motivation.
They were almost failing their classes because they had to, they had to get a job.
Then another gut punch.
We were barely starting to get the hang of it.
COVID-19, virtual learning, no sports, extracurriculars, or activities.
It was just discouraging.
Senior year suddenly became one to forget.
It was a struggle for me. I didn't know what to do.
In 2019, students were 78% at risk of dropping out at TJ, and the district saw some of that. Sources told us enrollment is down this year by roughly 200. Some have transferred, others just didn't return. Rodriguez wants to stop that.
But I felt like my job here wasn't done.
After graduating, she became a teacher's assistant at TJ, someone who has experience in discomfort, someone students can look up to as they come back to class in a pandemic.
It's almost like you're a beacon of hope because you've been through it before.
Yes, you felt hopeless and you need someone to talk to.
The district plans to heavily renovate TJ, so it's likely students will walk these halls once again. But if you ask these two grads 1 year later, for all it's been through, Thomas Jefferson High isn't just a place or a name.
We're persistent, and I think that class of 2020 was able to show that.
It is family.
No tornado can kill the TJ spirit for any student here.
In Dallas, I'm Matt Howerton.
Anyone who knows me knows I'm a proud product of the Dallas Independent School District. I'm also a proud graduate of Thomas Jefferson High School, class of '93. 1 year ago, when that EF3 tornado took out TJ, I'm sure I can speak for all alumni in saying it was devastating to see our school twisted, mangled, and destroyed. The tornado happened on a Sunday, so no one was at the school. Thank God no one was killed. When I drove to TJ the next day, the damage was unreal. The saddest part, though, was driving up Marsh Lane right by the school. I saw so many people outside their homes assessing the damage. I even saw an older man shaking his head with his hands covering his face as he stood in front of his house with a big tree on top of it. But as with all things, I tried to see the silver lining here. No one was killed. And I also thought to myself, it took a tornado to finally get TJ a brand new school. What has happened in the years since then has really disappointed me. Students and staff were sent to a temporary school 15 miles out of their way, as you saw in Matt's piece. I understand this had to happen, but let's at least let them know there's a game plan here. That didn't happen. They're all in a state of limbo, which can be really depressing.
It makes me want to cry a little bit, not gonna lie.
This was a major disruption, only exacerbated by the pandemic. The emotional and financial impact on these children and their families has been immeasurable. I wonder about all of the students who didn't return to TJ, not because they wouldn't, but because they couldn't. So many of them are working to help support their families hit hard by two very ugly storms. I'm disappointed the Board of Trustees voted in January to renovate the school rather than to rebuild it from the ground up. The school was already falling apart when I was there 30 years ago. DISD, you have a tremendous opportunity here, and it's not too late. Build a quality school from the ground up that'll serve the children in the community for generations to come. Let's show what we can do for a school with a 74% poverty rate. I wish trustees had voted to bulldoze TJ and start from scratch. But if the plan is to renovate, then let's do right by the students and give them a beautiful building they can be proud of. TJ is a big part of North Dallas history, and it should remain the heart and soul of this community for decades to come. I know the city and the district have the means and the heart to do what's right, not what's easy.
After October 20th, we had nothing. But October 21st, we had everything. Because brothers and sisters, churches stepped up and opened their doors.
First Mexican Baptist Church of Dallas was decimated by the tornado. All that's left is a couple arches and a concrete slab. But when we spoke with Pastor Ricardo Brambilla last year, he told us he was thankful for the tornado because it allowed his congregation to be better, not bitter. And when he sat down with Greg Fields just now, Pastor says his faith is as strong as ever.
A place of worship, a symbol of light. Saw one of the darkest days 1 year ago. It's been a hard year for the pastor and congregation of Dallas's First Mexican Baptist Church. But Pastor Ricardo Brambilla says this has reminded them of what's important.
After October 20th, we had nothing. But October 21st, we had everything. Because brothers and sisters, churches stepped up and opened their doors.
Their church building was reduced to rubble by the October storm.
So what we did is just to come closer, pray for one another, cry. We've cried this year. Because again, tears doesn't mean that we don't believe. The tears means that we're human.
Currently, the church is renting a building nearby. For now, rebuilding isn't an option. The church wasn't fully insured, and many in the congregation have lost their jobs due to the pandemic.
You're never prepared for it. The church was not prepared at all for a disaster of this magnitude. We are short, I would say, for every dollar that it costs to build, we only have 25 cents.
But through the storm came blessings.
Rebuilding the church internally, the body of Christ, it was more than rebuilding, it was refocusing our purpose. But right now what we want is to bring to our church to understand and to have a reconciling these suffering times, not only with the tornado, but also with COVID.
But if you think that has the pastor discouraged about the future of his congregation, you couldn't be more wrong.
I believe, like those columns behind me, we went through the storm and we are a little bruised. We have scars of our tornado, yet we're standing and we're not giving up.
I want to thank you for joining us for this look back at the billion-dollar storm and how this year has shaped so many people's lives. We were there for you that night, and we'll be there for you the next time. Because with the weather here in North Texas, there's always a next time. Stay safe. Good night.